Aloha, this is me, MarkO talking, and I welcome you to Dances with Dragons, a Green Heart Foundation podcast. In this podcast, you will hear about my real-life stories and adventures, together with the exciting current projects of our Green Heart Foundation. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to listen. And I'm in Iran, staying at local guest houses, eating in local restaurants. Occasionally I'll see the odd Western person, as I call them, the so-called foreigners. And always good to talk with them, always good to get information. Oh, are you coming from the other way? You know, what's the road like? Are there good hotels? Is there any recommendations you have? So I learned that it was called the coconut grapevine, that through the coconut shells, you could communicate to one another about what's ahead and what's behind. And I was eager to learn about carpets and the textiles, but really it was about the Persian carpet. And so I found myself very comfortable wandering around Tehran, finding the carpet bazaar area. And that means hundreds of shops, warehouses, literally some of them, stacked to the ceiling with carpets, rolled up, folded up, whatever. There was wall-to-wall carpets, and I was in awe. And of course, I'm naive as hell, but I had experience thanks to Ula and my experiences in Marrakesh, Morocco. And so I'm a bit savvy about, Mr. Come, I have special price for you today. But someone grabbed my attention, smoother mover than the others, and simply very good English speaking, makes a big point of in their favor, invites me in to have tea, which is the thing you do, just like in Morocco. You have your sweet, godly, ungodly, sweet, sugared Moroccan mint tea. And now I'm in the land of coffees, a Turkish coffee, the Persian coffees, and I loved it, that black, charcoal black, thick mud called coffee. But I'm invited in and welcomed like some movie star to start learning about Persian carpets. And all I can tell you is this guy was such a smooth talker that he convinced me to part with half of my money. I'm in day 4 of my adventure. And this guy is saying, you pay me half, you give me your home address, I will ship it to your parents. Once it gets there, then your parents can send money order transfer to my bank account in Persia. And everything's safe, everything reliable. Look at our letters. And he starts bringing out letters stamped from all over the world, Australia, England, France, Spain. Happy customers buying carpets from this family. And they had amazing qualities. And I was in awe. But he started telling me, look, you buy from us, and I guarantee you, when this carpet gets back home, you will make 3 or 4 times your money. So I was spending like $800 on a Persian carpet that I had no clue about. And there's a million of them beside it. So I'm thinking, is this a good price? Is this really even that old? It looks old because he's taught me about the new ones look like this, and feel the pile and turn over and look at the backside and scratch with your fingernails and all the little tests. Then, of course, I began learning the burn test. Burn a little fiber from the warp threads that are cut off at the bottom. There's always little tassels at 2 ends of a handmade textile. And you could take one little thread out, burn it, and you know whether it's cotton, wool, silk. And otherwise, it's a polyester synthetic. So it's called the burn test. I began learning real burn tests there because sometimes they were mixing silk in the carpet, which made it very valuable. And then sometimes they did all silk carpets which I couldn't begin to afford. But I evidently had a very valuable classic carpet, and it was of this style and this village, Baluchi, Shirazi, Kermani, all these different districts of Iran. But I picked the winner because my buddy Mohammed made sure that I was getting the best carpet. Remember giving him half $350 in my traveler's checks, and I get nothing but a piece of paper receipt, and he's going to take care of everything and guaranteed. And he made me so certain that by the time I got back to Hawaii, where my family was living, that I was going to start ordering more. And he just said, all you do, you sell that, you have enough money, you send me again half the money, I'll send you a full consignment of carpets, and then when you sell them, you pay me the other half. I thought, how can I go wrong? This is like perfect business deal. So I'm half my money gone. It's the beginning of February, and I realize this is getting the month of Ramadan, the famous Muslim holiday, Ramadan, the month of fasting. And I'm in Tehran, and now I'm a big merchant, so I began calling myself by different acronyms of my life. I became MarkO Merchant. And before I had always been called MarkO, as I had mentioned, my papa called me MarkO, our Marco Polo with a K, M-A-R-K-O. And so Marco Polo's on a new adventure. I realized the magic bus was going east, of course, with all the Westerners, and was taking a northern route from Tehran to Mashhad, which was famous for the Persian turquoise. And I'm realizing, wow, I'm in the land of turquoise. Now, I certainly made an investment in the carpet, and I got one piece that I hope to make money one day when I get back to America and Hawaii. But I learned about jewelry. I learned that you could buy stones, and I had learned about this in Morocco. They had Moroccan trade beads that people were making into necklaces, and just basically I was learning the world and the business, jewelry business. And now I'm interested in getting to some Persian turquoise. I've made my big plunge into the world of carpets and Persian carpets, textiles. And so I didn't want to go the northern route. I didn't want to go anywhere that these Western buses and Western travelers were going. And it was the more direct highway. I started looking at maps, very hard to get, but very important to get a map of a country everywhere you go. And I realized, boy, I could go south. And there's this amazing town, Isfahan. I had learned famous for its carpets. Shiraz, down in the southwest of Iran, right near the Red Sea, I believe. And so big trading towns, big trading ports, towns close to the ocean. But they were famous Persian carpet towns. And then I looked, and from Shiraz, boy, there's like nothing on a map until central Iran and this town called Kerman, Kerman, famous for the Kerman carpets. And it just looked like this is the dead center of Iran. This is the middle of nowhere. I mean, there were not dots on the map for towns around Kerman. And then from there, I looked, well, doesn't look like much road going out to, my God, what's out there? That's the easternmost part of Iran. And then I'm looking, my God, then, well, I can't even get into Afghanistan. I have to go into southern Pakistan. And then I'm told that that's where all the warring tribes are fighting over opium business. You know, the opium of Afghanistan was famous, and it had spilled out into these trade towns of Zahedan, and then the little southern town of Quetta, 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 Pakistan was the closest town from the Persian border for southern Pakistan. Then I had to go north from the far southwest of Pakistan to get in southern Afghanistan. Fast forward a year, just so you know, there was never a carpet delivered from Mohammed and Sons. there was never my business venture starting with this amazingly trusted, Western educated, beautiful son of the Mohammed family. I got burned. There wasn't a letter. Letters I wrote unanswered. Then the letters started being returned. 2 months later, they'd been through God knows how many Pony Express outposts to get to him, and then stamped, returned to sender. And so I didn't know this, but I just thought, well, I've got to still stretch my money. And I remember going through Isfahan, getting down to Shiraz. And I remember, besides my Persian turquoise story that's coming up now, I filled every nook and cranny, every zipper pouch in my backpack, in my pockets, in my carry bag, my faithful carry bag. I bought so many kilos of pistachio nuts. They were like nothing you've ever tasted. When you get a pistachio fresh from the source, the way they roast them, the way they have the prime, larger ones that are only for the local consumption, not for export. And lo and behold, Ali, a young boy, approaches me with great English. But before he spoke to me in English, he said, "Vous êtes américain? Tu parles français? Espagnol? Tu hablas español, señor? Do you speak English?" He starts rattling off these languages, and I'm going, boy, now there's a hustler. Because they did that in Morocco, of course. They come up to a stranger and they'll ask in 5 or 6 languages, "Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Mein Herr." Where are you from? And they pretty much figured us Americans look pretty typical with and wandering around. And he said, come to my family, Persian turquoise. We process, we manufacture, we are the biggest for selling Persian turquoise. And I said, but, I thought that was Mashhad up to the north and east of here. He says, yes, very famous. Mashhad turquoise, very famous. But we have family and we get our own turquoise. We have factory here. Come see our factory. This young boy brings me into this underground, I don't know where I was, but it was underground, dark, and I'm walking through these cavernous rooms, and there are these vats, literally like 50-gallon vats filled with stones, different cuts of Persian turquoise, different cabochon is the shape, the round, circular, oval shape. It's called a cabochon, which is perfect cutting to make into a ring. People buy rings, they like that little oval design, which you probably don't pay attention to, but it's a very popular cut of stone. That afternoon, I learned more about Persian turquoise from Ali. Of course, having a homemade meal right there with the family home, which was upstairs of this dark, dank factory underground in some basement. And I just was trusting. Ali seems trusting. But I thought, well, I'm certainly not going to, how much could one pure Persian turquoise? I kept asking all along, well, how much do these cost? Oh, we'll talk price later. Don't worry, we'll talk price later. Well, Ali, these, you say, my God, the darker color blue is more valuable. So how much are these compared to the lighter quality? So Ali never wanted to talk price. And this scared me. And here I'm taking literally an entire afternoon, very educational, learned so much about gemstones, the Persian turquoise. Then one thing Ali said is, I'm going to give you some of the finest Persian stones. You're going to start some jewelry business. You're going to want to do business with me in the future. I said, I've heard this a few days ago from a man named Mohammed. We're going to be brothers in arms and business forever. But he mentioned, you leave here and you're on your way to Afghanistan. And Ali, forgive my accent, but he just had the cutest accent, speaking very, very good English. He came from a wealthy family, And they put him in wealthy private schools, obviously, for learning English and getting a proper education. But he said, you go into Afghanistan and you're entering the land of lapis lazuli. And I said, lapis lazuli? That sounds as exotic as Zahedan, Iran, and, lapis lazuli. Yes, the blue stone. Persian turquoise is a lighter blue compared to the dark blue lapis lazuli. The mines in Afghanistan are famous all over the world. They have lapis in Chile. They have it in a few other countries. Only Afghanistan lapis. And I thought, okay, I got to save some of my money here because now I got to get some lapis after how much money am I going to be investing in Persian turquoise? No price. We talk price later. Don't worry about the price. And now I'm worried about the price. Come on. What are we going to do, Ali? And I'm just picturing, and they're so big, the vats of them, that there's thousands of stones in each vat. And the rooms are filled with there were different stages of cutting the stone, different stages of quality. Some of them had inclusions, and these I love. They had different minerals woven into, instead of the perfect robin's egg, they called it, because it was a robin's egg turquoise. Literally, if you've ever seen a cute little baby robin egg, it's light blue, and that is blue like the sky. And they would value certain colors, but I love the Persian turquoise that had these inclusions in them. But what's the price? Don't worry the price. And now we're finally settling on, he understood that I wanted to start designing rings. He agreed that I should have a certain size of stone for rings that are common for a man's ring and or a woman's ring. Those smaller cabochon stones that would, literally they were like what's considered a carat, which from a diamond, but a 1 carat diamond is extremely valuable. And it's still small like the tip of your finger on your pinky is a 1 carat stone. These were 4, 5, 6 carats that were a very nice size and a wide array he suggested I get, because some women have petite fingers. They like a more petite ring, a band on the ring rather than some heavy, thick gold or silver. And so I began getting ideas. He showed me, they had all kinds of jewelry and designs to show me. But he told me that the famous jewelry makers, that if I'm really wanting to make jewelry, he said, you must think about Sri Lanka, because it's a very famous gem capital also. That's where the finer precious stones come from, sapphires, rubies. So I started learning. There are expensive emeralds. Of course, the diamond was considered the number one value of any precious stone. But so was emerald, so were rubies, and I'm learning stones inside and out. And now we're down to, I've got a selection of these different type of stones that Ali brought me to a vat that had like 2, 3 different sizes, all similar in size. But he said, this vat has a mix, so you'll get a 3 or 4 carat. You can also get a 5 or 6 carat. And the quality is a bit changing, not just all one color. You'll get a little of the lighter turquoise. You can get a little of the darker. And then I'm just saying, okay, enough, Ali. I don't know. I imagine if I buy a stone and I get it set in a ring and that costs a few dollars, like you advised me, like I learned from MarkO. So I spend a few, $4 or $5 on a stone and a few dollars on a, so I've got $7 cost into a ring, and I can sell it for $20, $25, $30. I'm thinking that's tripling my money. Boy, there's business. Never took into consideration the business expenses like airplane tickets, hotels, costs of living while I'm building a jewelry business. But for me, it was just, I put $7 into the stone cost. I can sell it for $22. I'm tripling my money. I'm in business. And so that's what I'm thinking, $5, $10 a stone. I thought, well, I just spent $400. I've got 400 left. I'm still not even in India, yet alone Nepal or now Sri Lanka, that I guess I got to go to. And I remember thinking, well, $100, oh, but my God, that might only get me times $10 a stone. 10 stones? Okay, so 10 stones. I set them. Okay, well, and if I sell them for 20, I make $250. That's not really good business. I mean, it's good in the 70s, but how am I going to make my $400 last? And all of a sudden, I'm just going, okay, Ali, what's a stone like this going to cost? Right here, we're in front of a vat. Tell me what it's going to cost me. Talk to me in dollars, because you guys love dollars. Forgive me, but you guys are most people in Asia and any developing country in the world. The dollar is gold, the dollar is king. Talk to me in dollars, Ali. And he says, okay, Mr. Mark. I was still on the verge of becoming MarkO, but people love calling me Mr. Mark. Take your hand and reach into this pile, this vat of turquoise. How many stones can you pull out in one handful? And I just thought, well, what is this, a game? You've got scoopers here. What do you need? He says, you have big hand, very big hand. Reach in. And I reached in and I just dug down, and I remember the feel of that to this day, how cool. My hand and upper part of my wrist and lower arm, deep saturated in these cool stones that were just all polished, ready to set into a jewelry piece. And I pulled up this handful, keeping my fingers spread apart just enough so that the stones wouldn't fall through. And I had myself a big stack of Persian turquoise. And he says, ooh, that's a lot. And then he opens up this beautiful cloth. He says, now put it there. And I put it down, and I'm looking at like 70, 80 stones, different sizes. And I'm going, Jesus, Thank you for listening to Dances with Dragons. I hope you all enjoyed my stories of the adventures of a modern-day Marco Polo. Join us next week to listen to more exciting real-life stories. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a review and share it with others. To learn more about us, please visit our website at greenheartfoundation.org and follow our social media accounts. See you next week.